Does everything really change when you turn 30? I feel like I almost had a second spiritual awakening. Things I did want in my 20s just completely changed. I was so positive that I was gonna get married. The answer is yes. I feel like my whole personality changed when I turned 30. Things that I thought I would have never wanted or things I did want in my 20s just completely changed. And I wanted to talk about these changes from a perspective of a very spiritual person. Spirituality is a huge part of my life, probably the number one priority. And I feel like I almost had a second spiritual awakening once I turned 30. So when I was 25 up till, I was 29, I did a ton of manifestation work. I did a ton of inner work. I meditated a lot. I was still actively on the spiritual path. Even so, when I was in my 20s, I was still sort of chasing the outside world. I was still seeking success. I was very much in that personal development manifestation phase where I wanted to create a lot of stuff on my list or, desire list or whatever it was. And in my 30s, I can say for the first time ever consistently, I made that shift from prioritizing the outside and my creations to really focusing on my inner world and my happiness and my peace. And this shift has influenced a lot of what I'm going to be talking about later about my shift in values, what I think about money, family, relationships, all that kind of stuff. Because again, now I'm not chasing the material world as my number one thing. Before, even though I was on the spiritual path, and of course, the inner world was very important to me, the reason that I focused on working on myself was to get more stuff on the outside. And part of it, I think, was literally just walking that path myself in my 20s. When I turned 25, I realized that I was held back by a lot of different limiting beliefs and things that, I thought growing up were true, but now I knew weren't. So I started experimenting with a lot of different careers. I started going out my comfort zone, trying all these things, creating a lot of stuff that was really amazing. But I just realized that even though, I got the next manifestation or whatever it was, it never really changed how I felt on the inside in the long run. Sure, maybe I would feel really happy for, a few months, but then I would just go back to that same state of lack. So I do think having that spiritual awakening when I was 25 and going through a lot of that path in the last 5 years did really help me move to this new phase of 30s. The second change is feeling like I don't need to always be chasing that next big new thing. In my 20s, it was all about new experiences. It's about traveling. It's about starting new businesses. But I realized deep down all of that was actually driven by lack and fear. And I was really afraid of boredom. Boredom would almost lead to this sort of like loneliness and depression for me. I was afraid that if I slowed down, those unresolved emotions would creep up on me and I just wouldn't be able to handle them. So what did I do instead? Just do the new thing, do the new thing, do the new thing. And even after 25, there was a new form of this. It became manifestation. It became personal development. Like setting the big goal that I couldn't imagine before was just literally another form of lack that showed up in my life. So after I turned 30, I actually started loving routine and stability so much more. I haven't felt like traveling a lot, honestly, or going out of my way to do a lot of different social events or anything. And I think right before turning 30 and in my earlier months of being 30, I was invited by the universe to face a lot of that loneliness, to face a lot of that boredom and let it process and move through me so that I could actually just enjoy the present moment, even if there's nothing going on or nothing new or nothing exciting going on. I can just literally sit and have a peaceful and happy time. The third one is relationships, and in particular, romantic relationships. During my 20s, I thought for sure, actually probably during my entire life before 30s, I was so positive that I was going to get married. I was so positive that I was going to have kids, more than one kid. I didn't even question that sort of desire at all. And I think when I turned 30, I just became more comfortable with myself or something. And now I am totally okay with not getting married and not having kids. I think also when you near 30, you have to face that possibility of not getting married or having kids. Like, it becomes so much more real. When you're 20s, like, you have so much time, right? So you like don't really care. In your 30s, a lot of people you know are going to be in serious committed relationships, get engaged, get married, start having kids, all these kinds of things. And then you seriously start to think about like, oh, do I want this for myself or not? And on a deeper level, why do I want this? Right? And why do I not want this? And what I realized for myself is that there was a lot of fear of that not happening. There wasn't really a strong excitement over it per se. It was just that it was the norm, so that's why it was going to happen. But again, when I started to have this second spiritual awakening and seeing through the illusion that anything on the outside could give me a certain feeling on the inside, it also started to apply to this thing that I thought was, very for certain in my life. I realized, if happiness and peace are my goal, relationships don't have anything to do with it. It could be part of it, of course, but it's not a means to an end. And the same thing applies to friendships. I think I had a lot of sort of unconscious desire to have like either a better group of friends or a more aligned group of friends or whatever it was. But I realized I was just seeking validation, comfort, acceptance and community, whatever that would give me, the feeling that would give me on the outside. And I was, again, resisting and putting all this pressure on my current reality, needing it to change to actually feel at peace with friendships as well. And along the same vein of that, I think also I became a lot more comfortable with friendships falling apart, because when you're on the spiritual path, your values and your personality and everything changes a lot. I'm sure if you are on it, you know exactly what I mean. And that just means you outgrow relationships a lot faster. And I've been learning, first of all, that I don't need to be friends with everyone. And second of all, I need to let go of people who are just not aligned anymore and grieve through that process. So those are the three major high-level changes I experienced when I turned 30. Of course, there's a lot in-depth stuff that I didn't talk about, but I wanted to make this video because I'm sure a lot of people on the spiritual path are having very similar experiences when they enter this new era of their life. And I was hoping that by making this video, I would help anyone on the path feel a little bit less alone. And even though there are a lot of uncertainties in my life right now, today, I honestly feel like more than ever, I'm more dedicated to my path and that it is the right one for me. So if you're around this age or you've gone through something similar, I would love to hear from you. Drop a comment below. And if you're interested in non-dual peace, happiness, and freedom, the nature of reality and how creation really works, subscribe and follow for more, because that's what we talk about here. Thanks everyone, and I'll see you on the next one.